Hello, what's up folks? Well back once again. It feels like it's been a while since I did one of these. UFC prediction video is here for UFC Washington. Alistair Overeem against Jairzinho Rozenstruick is our main event, and a fun kind of card. There's some matchups here I'm struggling picking winners between. But yeah, it's a fun card. I've got some bets made already, so I'm kind of looking forward to adding a couple more bets, which I've got my eye on. But yeah, I really do look forward to coming back after a nice break. We've got a couple of cards, then into a break, a long break. I think it's a good month over the Christmas and New Year period before we get McGregor against Cowboys Cerrone. So if you can, let's see if we can get this video over 100 likes. That's the goal here. Get over 100 likes. If you're new to the channel, if you've somehow found my channel, please hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, and you'll be notified when my videos come out there. I've put out some stuff on my community page earlier on regarding I'm going to be doing some different things heading into 2020. I've been thinking about next year a little bit and what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be doing 3 new shows, 2 monthly ones and maybe 3 monthly ones, but 1 weekly one, which I want you guys to kind of help me out with. I've got like a prospect watch. I've got some different type things that I've kind of I'm looking at doing, because I've got a list of prospects that I would love to talk about before they hit the big leagues, your Bellators or your UFCs or whatever they may end up. But yeah, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, and if you can, guys, hit the thumbs up. Also, comments below. I want to know your favourite underdog and your kind of most safest parlay, which you think you like for this card. I think it's a tough card for parlay. I think I'm going to be playing mostly straight picks in this one here. So yeah, we're going to get into this in a little bit of a second here, but I just thought I'd get the little bits out of the way there. I'm going on what's on Wikipedia. There's been some late scratches to the fight card, and the full announced bouts is not on the TV or the UFC Fight Pass prelims yet, so I'm just going from what I see on Wikipedia there. And the first bout is in the featherweight division with Billy Quarentillo against Jacob Kilburn. This fight was initially supposed to be Billy against Chris Fishgold, and I thought that was an interesting bout because these two guys that I know that are fighting here, I don't rate them overly that high. I don't really honestly think they're UFC kind of caliber fighters, but they're both here and they both got their opportunity. Jacob Kilburn coming in here on very, very short notice. For the life of me, I can't remember Jacob Kilburn's last opponent, but I did watch it in UFC Fight Pass. It was a late on a Thursday night. I got home from work and the fight was on. I think it was maybe Island Fights actually, and he had a vicious knockout in that one. He also fought in the Dana White Contender Series where he fought Bobby Moffett, who's recently been released from the UFC. His condition didn't look all that great, but since then he's kind of garnered a lot of confidence. He's went out the regionals, won some more fights, got his opportunity to come in here on short notice. Billy Quarentillo looked alright in the show on the Dana White show as well. I think he was in Tough back in the day, and overall, he was a pretty moderate kind of underdog against Chris Fishgold, and I actually think he had some value at the odds that he was at. But this matchup here, he's been favoured as a massive betting favourite, which is a little bit, I'm not sure it should be that high. I think Kilburn's going to come in here and bring the fight to it. I can see this being very, very close across the 3 rounds. I can maybe see Quarentillo getting takedowns, but Kilburn being able to get back to his feet. I think on the feet, Kilburn's a little bit faster. I don't want to say he's light years ahead of what Quarentillo is, but I think what Billy's got is obviously he's been in this spot where he's been getting ready for this fight night card for the longest time. Kilburn's coming here on short notice. I just think he has a little bit more longevity kind of in the fight. He can take the fight down maybe at the correct times in the rounds and kind of win the rounds through that. So Billy Quarentillo via decision is going to be my first one there. The women's fights on this card, I think there's 3 of them, and I think they're all very, very close fights. But next up, we've got Virna Jandiroba against Mallory Martin. Mallory Martin is a girl that I've expected to be in the UFC. Coming into 2020, I thought she was definitely going to get a shot because she was on Dana White's Contender Series where she did what she had to. She won the fight pretty dominantly, but never really. I think on that show there might have been 4 other people that actually got contracts that night, where she beat that Italian girl. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I know she went back into Invicta, beat Cynthia Arceo very, very dominantly, took her down, was very heavy on top, and that's kind of what her game is. She comes out the Tiger Muay Thai camp in Thailand, but grappling is a kind of more... it's more her skill set. Insanely, she likes to get down there. She likes to be heavy. She'll put her partner with punches on the top there. She'll move to different positions, and that's what she kind of likes to do. But she's very vicious once she gets into a top position. She can deliver heavy elbows, and kind of go from there. 2 losses. Macy Barber was one of them, and Sonia Davis' daughter, way back in 2017. Virna Jandiroba, I think she's decent. I think she's okay, but I'm trying to think of her ceiling in the UFC. I think her matchup with Livia Souza, I think that was going to be a good one for her. She came into her UFC debut against Carla Esparza. I bet Carla's an underdog there, and I thought, right, she hasn't got the grappling advantage, which some people thought she would have. I think she comes from a judo background, growing up, obviously jiu-jitsu background. A lot of her wins are via submissions. When you see her going to Invicta, Montenegro, Mizuki, the other Brazilian girl, I forgot her name, Monderand, I think that's how you pronounce it. She beat her in the second round there via kind of arm triangle choke. But that was just a tough out against a really tough UFC vet, a tough fight veteran in Carla Esparza, who's, at the end of the day, she was a UFC champion, she was an Invicta champion, she was at one point the best, and obviously Invicta before they came into the UFC, and then she won the belt there, where she kind of lost it obviously to JJ, and she's never really been the same since, but she's still a tough out for anybody. I see this being really, really close. I think it's who can get on the top position, because jiu-jitsu advantage are going to give to Virna. I think if Mallory Martin can get on top and get the takedown, that's kind of where I'm wondering about how she gets the fight to the ground. But if she can get it there and be heavy in top position, that's where I think she can win rounds. Now on the feet, I don't think either really stand out in my opinion. So I just see this being a very, very close fight, and I actually see value in Mallory Martin in this spot here. I know she's coming in short notice. I think she is the bigger fighter, but plus 240 in a fight which I think is going to be close. I think that there's some value on her in that spot there. But I'm struggling to pick. So, like I say, if I think the fight is going to be close, I think I'll probably have to edge the dog. So I'm going to go with Mallory Martin. But I know some people out there are super, super confident in Virna Jandiroba, and I can probably see why. But I'm going to take a small shot on Mallory Martin. That's going to be my pick for that fight there. So I'm actually looking forward to the girl fights in this one. I think they're all very, very competitive fights. So yeah. Makhmud Muradov against Trevor Smith. I've got Makhmud Muradov via knockout in this one. Now, I bet him as a plus 150 dog in his last fight against Alessio Di Chirico. I actually think Alessio Di Chirico won that fight in my opinion. Watching it live, I thought that. Watched it back, I definitely thought that. I got on that line really, really early. But I think this is a better matchup for him. I think he's faster. I think he can vary up a little bit more there. I think the only thing he's really got to worry about with Trevor Smith is getting taken down and laid on. I think he's faster, better footwork. I think he can also probably get the fight to the ground with fast reactive takedowns, but I think he's got such an advantage on the feet that this is where he's really going to hurt Trevor Smith. Trevor Smith is an old guy. I shouldn't really say that because he's only a couple of years older than me, but probably in fight years, he is a kind of old guy in that middleweight division, and he really doesn't pose any threats with his striking. He's not a power hitter, he's not an output guy, he's a grinder, and he looks to grind out results, and sometimes his fight can look bad. I remember that one with Alistair in Liverpool. Wasn't it a great fight? I actually thought he won that fight in my opinion, watching it back, and also in the arena when I was there. But I just think Makhmud's going to catch him with a big shot here and he's going to rock him. So I've got Makhmud Muradov via late first round TKO here. I think this is where he really arrives into the UFC. Not that he's got super amount of hype, but I like what I've seen outside the UFC, and I think if they do this kid right, I think that he will win some fights in the UFC. So I've got Muradov via knockout in the first. Joe Solecki against Matt Wiman's up next. I'm going to pick Solecki. It's hard to really pick Matt Wiman in this kind of spot, even though Solecki is very inexperienced compared to what Matt Wiman is, and Matt Wiman's coming back I know he had that 5-year gap against Luis Pena, but Luis Pena absolutely beat the brakes off that guy, and really in every aspect that of that fight, Luis Pena just had his way with Matt Wiman, and it's hard to see. Like, both guys are grapplers here. Solecki, you've seen him in his Dana White Contender show. I think was it Taylor Johnson or Jesse Wallace? Jesse Wallace, that was it. Where he got the fight to the ground. Initially, he came out, he was throwing some strikes and actually looked pretty decent with his striking initially. But when the fight, I think Johnson threw a body kick, which he caught the leg, took him down, and instantly got to his back. A really nice position that he got to, and then eventually got into a choke, got it there, turned it around. He had all the weight in there, and Jesse Wallace went to sleep. It was a beautiful, beautiful submission. But I've heard some stories of Solecki turning down fights and to like with very tough guys before getting into the Dana White Contender Series. So he's obviously been picking his fights correctly, or picking his fights right. It's just I struggle to pick what Matt Wiman, even though he's got such an experience advantage over Solecki here. But like, it was actually nice going back and watching Matt Wiman's old fights, because that was a guy I kind of grew up watching a long, long time ago, way back like 10 years ago. It's crazy how long some of these guys have been in the UFC. I know the 5-year layoff's a big what if, but yeah, I'm not going to pick him this up. I'd rather go with Solecki. I'd rather go with the guy who's been fighting more regularly in the last 5 years and maybe never even started his career in the last 5 years. But yeah, I'll go Joe Solecki to win that one there via a hard-fought decision, maybe even a submission at some point. Bryce Mitchell against Matt Sayles. This is a good fight. This is one I've had my eye on for a while. This is something I watched very, very early because I thought... I was wondering what the bet lines were going to be, and the bet lines are out so early now that it's hard to... Everybody's really on early to get the best lines they can, but some fights you just have to sit back and watch and see how the lines play out, and this is what I'm doing with this fight, because I seen Matt Sayles jump up to plus 120 and minus 120 yesterday. Yeah, Bryce Mitchell is a bit of a madman, if we're being honest with you. Like, I love watching his interviews. There was the whole, obviously, with what happened down below when that got ripped to bits. But he's won 2 fights in the UFC. I thought he looked good on the Dana White Contender Series on Tough. Looked good against Tyler Diamond, who I think I had Tyler beating him there. I thought Bobby Moffett would beat him. I actually thought that Bryce Mitchell fought a really good fight in that one. I actually thought Bobby Moffett won that fight against Bryce Mitchell, but Bobby Moffett, he kind of made he got the takedowns in that fight, and he advanced a few times, but even when he got those takedowns, Bryce Mitchell was just throwing up submissions. He was being very effective with that, and was just really, he's a squirrely dude. He's going to fight. He's like one of those Arkansas boys that obviously loves to fight, would fight in a field full of cow dung, you name it, he would fight anywhere, anytime. But I just think Matt Sayles is a more complete fighter. I think he's more polished at this point. I've liked what I've seen from Matt Sayles in his UFC tenure, I'll be honest with you. I think that he's got a pretty high ceiling in the UFC. I know he's had a loss. He had that Shimon Moraes fight. That's a hard fight to be getting at any point in the UFC, in my opinion. So Dominic Cruz's protege, that gets said every time. Came back, beat Kyle Nelson, came through a couple of squally parts in that fight there, but ultimately he got the submission in the 3rd round, and he outstruck Kyle Nelson easily. Reversed position a couple of times, he passed position a couple of times, looked for a submission at points, and obviously got that submission in the 3rd round. But there was some squally parts in that fight there which might give Bryce Mitchell an opportunity if it goes to the ground and again it scrambles and so on. But I like Matt Sayles in this spot, and I'm probably going to end up betting Matt Sayles, if I'm going to be honest with you. I'm waiting for that line. It's minus 110 actually in the UK. I would happily take that, but like, it's only early Monday morning, 1:30 AM, and if I could get a little bit less, then yeah, but I'll happily take minus 110. So that's going to be a bet for me come fight night. So yeah, I've got Matt Sayles, possibly via finish. I think he could possibly stop Bryce Mitchell, but in fact, I'll go TKO in let's say the 2nd round, if not a submission. I do think he gets a finish though. Thiago Alves against Tim Means, hard fight to pick. Not sure in the betting line of 10 means he's coming off a pretty vicious knockout against Nico Price, and Nico Price does that with anybody. So you have to he in the early part of that fight, he was really busting Nico up a little bit. He was landing at will, but then he got caught with the bomb and it absolutely fell down, wrecked his ankle. Had to get surgery on that. Coming back, he's against one of the heaviest leg kickers. Not that he's been doing that recently. His output has not been as much as it was way back in the day when he was in his pomp. Before he was fighting GSP at UFC 100, he was an absolute destroyer back then. I remember watching him in London against Matt Hughes, and I was like, God damn, this guy's an absolute machine. And he used to literally break guys with his striking. But nowadays, I think he's really transitioning more into the coach role, American Top Team. I think he's like a striking coach to like your Dustin Poiriers, and I know he helps a lot of other guys at ATT. He's been a guy that's been there for the longest time, but he's clearly on the downside of his career. Like he wins kind of once every 3 years, it seems like. Beat Max Griffin, which I don't agree with. Beat Patrick Cote, which was legit. But lost a close fight to Kunchenko, lost to Staropoli, which was close in spots, but Staropoli came through. I'm going to pick Tim Means. What's his betting line, actually? But I think the betting line's, I wouldn't bet him at minus 265. No way would I ever bet that. But Tim Means, I think he can fight long. I think he can frustrate Thiago Alves. I think Thiago has to really engage, come in there and like get into the phone box to really hurt some, to really make it effective against Tim Means. But once you get in close with Tim Means and once he backs you up as well, he can land those elbows, he can land those knees. He's got a lot of leverage with his strikes. But he got knocked out badly, and if Alves can catch him with the correct shot and maybe knock him out, it could quite possibly happen. But I just don't see the aggression from Thiago Alves to really see that come to fruition there. So I've got Tim Means to probably stop Thiago Alves early in the third round there. Rob Font against Ricky Simone. I'm seeing some people on Ricky Simone. Have had people message me regarding this. I think he's going to be a popular underdog in this card, and I can see why. A guy who burned a lot of people against Uriah Faber. I know what many people was picking Faber to come back and do that to Ricky Simone. Caught him right on top of the head, put him out. Fighting at home here, I think he's a native of the kind of Washington area, if I remember right. And I like watching him fight. I think he's a really fun guy. He's gonna provide us with so many fun fights in the UFC. Got himself some really good wins. Rani Yahya, Montel Jackson. Got that pretty weird win against Mirab Devashvili, where he was probably on his way to losing, but then somehow kind of won that fight, got the W. It was just a weird fight altogether at the end of that fight. But two really good wins in my opinion. And like I say, not many people seen the Uriah Faber fight coming there. I loved the fight against Rani Yahya, the way he was beating up on the feet, he was faster. But then when Rani Yahya was going for those takedowns, he was like sprawling super easily, was very quick, just gave Rani Yahya no opportunity. And that's what he's going to do here, because Rob Font is the better striker. He's the more technical striker. He likes to stay on the outside. He's longer. He can definitely pop him at a distance. And Ricky Simone's going to be fading in and out, looking to dive at those legs and get takedowns. And he may get one or two, but I just don't think he's going to keep Rob Font down there for longer parts of the fight. And I think while it's on the feet, the more effective striking is going to be landed by Rob Font. So yeah, I'm picking Rob Font to win the fight. It is in DC. So the pop's going to be for Ricky Simone. So if these rounds are close, you maybe have to expect that the underdog in Ricky Simone here, he could come through. So I don't mind the bet as an underdog. I think he's plus 135. Not bad odds, but I just think Rob Font's going to pick him apart a little bit on the striking, stop some of the takedowns. Like I say, I think he will get taken down on occasions, but I've just got a feeling Rob Font's going to come through in that one. So I've got him to win 29-28, like I say, but it could go either way in that fight. So yeah, I've got Rob Font for the W there. Moving on to the main card. Cody Stamann against Song Yadong. This was one, if you asked me 2 weeks ago who I was probably picking in this fight, I'd probably go with Cody Stamann. But when I watched Song Yadong and I've seen his kind of progression that he's making and his timings and knowing when to attack and when to counter and just showing more of his maturity as a fighter, I think he's just more dangerous and more effective than what Cody Stamann is, who's a wrestler by trade, very short reach. Striking, he's an okay fighter. He's going to beat. He's going to beat some guys. Guys have beaten him, but he was a guy who was coming through the regionals. He was like 18-1, no 18-1. He was like 12-1 when I first recognised him way back in 2016, maybe even earlier than that. Came into the UFC, beat Terry and Ware, beat my boy Tom Duquesnoy, who I thought he looked really good in that fight. Brian Caraway's always a hard nosed win to get, and he did that via a very close split decision. Lost to the Funkmaster. That was a beautiful submission by the Funkmaster there, and then beat the not dangerous, but the weasel-like type kind of game of Alejandro Perez, where you look at Song Yadong, where Song Yadong absolutely destroyed Alejandro Perez. Like, he really put it on him with that. As Perez was coming forward, just caught him with that head kick and absolutely put him down and countered him beautifully. His counters are so nice to watch. His footwork, moving in and out of range, is really, really good. Bashing off to the sides and catching you with really clean striking. And he has got takedowns himself. He has a grappling game, but I think he's superior. His superior talent is definitely in the feet here. I think he's a good counter striker. I think he's super aggressive. I think he can vary his power with his shots. I think he's one of those guys that doesn't throw everything into one shot, and picks his shots really well. But if he wants, he can get takedowns as well. It's something that you've seen before he went to UFC, and it's something we have seen in the UFC. So I've got Song Yadong. I think that Stamann will forever be tough in this fight. He will kind of look live in spots. I just don't see him taking Yadong down and keeping him there for long parts of this fight. If he can do that, he can win the fight. I just don't think he can do it. I think that the young kid, well, who knows what age the guy is. Everybody's kind of going on about he's in his late 20s. They're saying he's in his early 20s. I don't know. But I've got Song Yadong. I think he can maybe knock him out. So I'm going to go Song Yadong via finish in that one there. But it'd be interesting to see if Stamann could get takedowns and keep him there, which is not something that he's done on a regular occurrence with guys who are super explosive like a Song Yadong. So yeah, I've got Yadong for the win there. Aspen lad against Yana Kunitskaya. This is all about whether Aspen lad can get the fight to the ground, because in my opinion, Yana Kunitskaya is she's the better fighter all across the board. I think she's more dangerous with her jiu-jitsu. I think she's a better striker. She's just a more well-rounded fighter. But you've got someone in Aspen lad who's got one of these skill sets that if she gets you to the ground and she stretches you out, she can absolutely wreck you to pieces in seconds, because she's so aggressive with her top position. Just with any position she's got any dominant position that she's got in the bottom, she is very, very aggressive down there. And like I say, that last fight against Germaine de Randamie, I was super high on Germaine de Randamie before the kind of fight week even took place there. I just thought she was outgunned. She wasn't going to get de Randamie down, and she was going to get picked apart, and that's ultimately what happened. But the weight cut scared me. She's sticking around at this division, which hopefully she's changed that around, where she's making adjustments, and because that was horrible to see that girl on the scales and seeing the state she was in. I think they've taken precautions with her, cutting the weight early, getting her down, being more healthy, and not just mass losing weight in fight week. But I just don't think she's going to get the takedowns predominantly in this fight all the time. So I've got Yana Kunitskaya to really maybe win, not a boring fight, but I just think she's going to really do enough to just win the fight. I think she is just a far better mixed martial artist across all spectrums. Just don't get taken down. We've seen in the past when she's got taken down, she's got submitted by Tonya Evinger. She got submitted in like ACB, I remember way back. And but I just think across a 15-minute fight, if she doesn't get taken down, she's going to win this one. Even though, lad, I think she's probably making some moves on her striking, because I think that's where her weakness is. She pushes everything very hard. I think she can maybe gas herself out a little bit too much. if the fight goes on. I just like Yana Kunitskaya. I think she's a good dog play. Her odds at the minute are, let me see, Yana Kunitskaya, plus 130. I think that's not bad at all. But I know there's a lot of people that are on Aspen Lad. They've been asking me about Aspen Lad. So yeah, wherever you feel, if she gets the fight to the ground and she gets that top position, or gets the back or anything and starts raining those punches, she could probably stop Yana Kunitskaya. I just don't think she's going to do that. So I've got Yana to win a pretty close decision, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I like Yana in that one. Oof. Stefan Struve against Ben Rothwell here. Stefan Struve went and retired. Came back. MMA retirements. Hashtag MMA retirements. They never really last. And then you've got Ben Rothwell, who's just looked, he's not looked a shell of the fighter since he's come back from that USADA suspension. I thought he was a little bit unlucky against Ivanov, but I think against Arlovsky he looked terrible. He did not look good in that one at all. Stefan Struve, I've been going for years about how this guy never uses his leverages that he's got. He's got a massive advantage with his length, but never really learns to use it. Pretty dangerous on the ground with his submissions, but can't really take too many shots. And Ben Rothwell's going to be coming forward, spamming, trying to get into kind of close range to really land that big shot. This is one of those fights. If I had a coin sitting on this table right here, I'm going to flip a coin and see where it comes up. I got burned picking Ben Rothwell last time against Arlovsky. I think I'm going to go Stefan Struve. One of my least confident picks, though. I think this is going to be sloppy. I think there's going to be very close rounds. If something lands big, I would think it's from someone like Ben Rothwell, who's got a better chin than what Stefan Struve has. But I think Stefan Struve can maybe just do enough to kind of win rounds. But it's tough. Honestly, I've got... I've not got any real kind of big lean in that one. I'm going to go Stefan Struve, though, via pretty kind of boring maybe decision. But yeah. Co-main event, good fight. Marina Rodriguez against Cynthia Calvillo. I can't remember who Calvillo was supposed to face. Was it Kunitskaya in this one? No, it wasn't it. Let me see, that's going to annoy me. But this is predominantly a striker versus grappler in this fight here. Claudia Gadelia, that was going to be a good fight as well. I've been super impressed with Marina Rodriguez. I love her striking. I love how much she varies it. She's a big girl for the division. She's still fairly new to the sport of MMA, even though she's a really good striker. She did a lot of that outside of the our MMA. She did a lot of Muay Thai and so on. Came into the UFC, went to a draw, with Randa Marcos, beat Jessica Aguilar, got the right step up against Tisha Torres, who's a perennial top 5 girl, handed her accordingly and absolutely kind of beat her to the punch, was just more devastating with her striking, really mixed it up well. And it's just looked, I don't want to say she's looked like super dominant, but she's looked very good in a lot of spots. In a short UFC tenure, I just really like, she uses kind of everything with the kind of 8 limbs. She'll use the elbows, she'll use the knees, she goes low with great leg kicks. But she has to be careful here of someone like Calvillo, who's definitely going to have the advantage on the feet. Like, she in that fight, but in saying that, if you look at the Tisha Torres fight, she took her down, remember? So she can maybe hold her own down there, but if she goes to the ground on more than a few occasions, then Calvillo's so slippery down there and so just good. She's just dangerous on the ground. Not saying that she's bad on the feet, because I think there's times where she's showing that she's trying to establish a jab. She did that with Jojo Calderwood a little bit, where she really tried to establish a jab, and then when she got the fight to the ground to really lock on that submission and go for it, she did that a few times there. And she's came into the kind of fights there and just... And like the Kunitskaya fight, that was a striking affair. So she won that one pretty convincingly. There was the Botelho fight where as soon as she got to the ground, she got that submission in and really locked it in. And she can do that. She can do that with a lot of girls. I just don't think she's going to do it here. I think that Marina Rodriguez is going to, if they get into clinch position, she's going to start rifling her with knees up the middle, maybe going after the leg kicks and really kind of keeping Calvillo back. I think she's just going to be able to kind of outstrength Calvillo there, but if it goes to the ground, I'd be super. If I was betting Calvillo in this spot, I think that Rodriguez would be in a lot of trouble. I'd be if I was on the betting side of Calvillo, I'd be super confident that she could pull off a submission. What I like about Calvillo in this camp is she's been at Tiger Muay Thai, which I think is going to greatly help her in a matchup like this. She can maybe catch a kick to get the fight to the ground. I think her striking's definitely going to come on. She was fighting with, who she's sparring with, Luma Lukbunmi was a big, I think she helped her a lot going into her UFC debut against Albu. Yeah, it's all whether this fight hits the ground, because if it hits the ground, Calvillo, I think, has got a big opportunity to get a submission. If it doesn't, I think Rodriguez is going to pick her apart in the feet, and ultimately I see Rodriguez picking her apart in the feet. So, but I don't think a bet on Cynthia Calvillo is a bad bet either, if I'm being honest with you. So, but like I say, do your own research and see what you think. It's a close fight. I like Rodriguez in this spot there. And the main event of the night, Alistair Overeem against Jairzinho Rozenstruick. Really, as soon as Rozenstruick won, there was the whole thing going on with Walt Harris and his daughter, which is absolutely heartbreaking. Rest in peace to his daughter, who went missing, was found, and sadly passed away. Which, yeah, I've lost a kid. I know kind of know how that feels. Maybe not to the extent of to what Walt did. He obviously, that girl grew up with him, and yeah, she was still so young, like 19 years old, I think she was. So that was horrible. But as soon as he dropped out, and Rozenstruick absolutely put the death touch on Andrei Arlovski, it was the right fight to make. I kind of thought initially it might be Cyril Gane that might get the fight, but then I thought, no, Rozenstruick, he's come in, he's had a couple more fights, an extra fight in the UFC, and he's looked devastating. And obviously, you can see that he's got a lot of power, he's got a lot of confidence in his striking. I think he's got a huge gap with his grappling, and that's where I think Reem is going to, if he doesn't come in here and look to use grappling against Rozenstruick, then he's going to get knocked out, and it could get vicious. It could be one of those fights where Reem's running away. You can't forget as well that Overeem is a great striker himself. He's just compromised with a very, very bad chin, like a seriously bad chin. And if this Jairzinho hits him with a big shot, could ultimately put him down very, very quickly, which he's done in a few of his fights with Alan Crowder and Arlovski. Arlovski, I think once he hit with that first shot, he tried to respond, and ultimately that's just playing into the wheelhouse of Rozenstruick. But like I say, I think the best way to beat this guy is get him to the ground. I think it's fairly obvious. I don't think it's hard to see. I think he's at a gym at, I think it's Team Elevation, where Curtis Blades is there. If Curtis Blades and his coaches who are around Alistair Overeem are not saying, look, get this guy to the ground, then something, I just don't think he can really stand up for long periods of this fight. And now he could knock out Rozenstruick because he's a decorated striker himself. He's a very, very, very good decorated striker. Has been for a long time, but he's been around a long time. Took a lot of damage, a lot of punishment, but also super, super dangerous on the ground with chokes. This is where I think he has to take it. When you look at like Rozenstruick, I think that they're both similar heights. I think they're both. I think Reema's got just a little bit of a reach advantage, but ultimately, I just don't see Reem wanting to engage with this guy too much, because I think he will be in the danger zone for every moment this fight is on the feet. I think if he has to maybe use a couple of strikes to maybe jump in for a takedown, but how many times do you see Alistair Overeem really go for takedowns? That doesn't happen all that often, but I do think that's the clear path to victory here. If this fight goes longer, he maybe have a little bit of advantage there because he's been in a lot more fights. He's been in with a lot more talented fighters than what Rozenstruick has. But like I say, two strikers, but I think that Overeem can have some grappling advantages here if he decides to use it. But we just never see Alistair Overeem really kind of use his grappling. He did it against Pavlovich. I mean, his confidence must be sky high if his wins over Olenek and Pavlovich. I think the Pavlovich one was just bad matchmaking. They shouldn't have put that fight together. Olenek, it is what it is there. Caught him with a nice knee, knocked him out. Yeah, I think Reem has to use his grappling here if he can. Somehow get this fight to the ground. I think he can, because I don't think Rozenstruick's takedown defence is great at all. I've actually bet Alistair Overeem. I know a lot of people are on Rozenstruick yet, and I can see why, because if this guy touches him correctly once, this fight could be done. But I bet Alistair, I want to say 2 weeks ago, he was plus 100, and I was like, I don't think this guy should be an underdog to this dude. Obviously, the line's flipped where I think he's minus 125 now. And I know there's a lot of people betting Jairzinho Rozenstruick. I think the money will come in on him during fight week. But I've got my money in early on Alistair Overeem here. I think he gets it done. I think he gets him down and submits him inside the first 2 rounds. So, but it could become hairy if it stays standing. I know the risks of betting Alistair Overeem, but I'll put my money down where my mouth is, and I wouldn't bet that. So, but if you, like I say, if you're on the opposite side of me, let the best man win, and we'll see how the chips kind of fall in that one. So that's my picks, guys, for UFC Washington. I was glad to get back into the kind of doing predictions again. It's been a little bit of a time off. I've thoroughly enjoyed the time off and getting ready for these couple of fights coming up to Christmas. 245 I've already been into a little bit, and it's going to be a fantastic card next week. So until then, guys, please like, comment, subscribe. I'm trying to get to 100 thumbs up if we can do that. And remember, I want to know your favourite underdog. I want to know your favourite parlay for this card here. And yeah, good luck. I'll see you all very, very soon. Enjoy the fight card when it comes back around next Saturday night. Peace.